If we're going to have a $50 million global opening for ELIO, this very well could wind up somewhere between Strange World and Lightyear, but closer to Strange World. And Strange World didn't come out in the heat of summer. This thing came out Thanksgiving release, which is a good holiday to release on for a family film. It's a great one. That's why Disney always does it. This is coming out, dead center of summer. It's going to get buried. I mean, absolutely buried. This thing might not even make it to 100 million, and if it does, it might not make it to 125. Renegade Online. ELIO, it looks like it's going to have the same problem as Ironheart, which I know Alan Ng is absolutely looking forward to watching Ironheart as well. And just like we all are. This is going to be a pretty bad month, I think, for Disney. Theatrically, with ELIO's release, and then on Disney Plus with Ironheart's release, which looks like this Ironheart could very easily be the acolyte of the MCU, where it may get a higher amount of viewership than we anticipate just based on the fact that people seem to want to clown on this sucker. And I said to somebody this morning, between ELIO and Ironheart, these are just two turds on a Wednesday morning after Taco Tuesday. The crap is going to come out no matter what. I mean, that's what you have with these. Disney had to get these moving. ELIO was delayed for 15 months. Ironheart was also delayed for at least a year, if not maybe closer to 2 years. Disney is having to force these things out now. It's a sunk cost fallacy. Here to tell us all about why he thinks this movie is the worst thing that Disney Pixar has ever made. Ladies and gentlemen, our good friend from Film Threat, Mr. Alan.
Hey, well, I think Disney is like allergic to profit. And so it's like when Lilo and Stitch makes too much money, they have to dump it somehow. And so we have ELIO.
Well, that's what we were saying before you hopped in backstage. I made the remark that, between Snow White, between Captain America, and between Thunderbolts, we've estimated somewhere around $600 million in the hole this year so far for Disney. Yeah. Before they got to Lilo and Stitch, they lost around $200 million on Captain Falcon. They lost around $300 million on Snow White because they went way over the top on that sucker. We will still have financial reports coming in for that, probably for the next year and a half, and it's only going to get way worse. And then we've got Thunderbolts, which didn't even get to $400 million. So the loss is racked up. Lilo and Stitch will, after covering its costs on that movie, which clearly it did. Let's say, and I don't have the numbers exactly in front of me, but let's say it manages to haul in an extra $150 million to $200 million in profit, which is probably somewhere in that vicinity. Okay, against the $600 million they already start in the hole, ELIO is going to take that $150 million plus that Lilo just threw in the pot and wipe it right back out again and even add to it, I think. Yeah. So what's going on with this film? Why was this so bad?
Wait, is it true? Is this one a $300 million
this
movie?
Was, yes. So this was, and it's funny because there was a post earlier that I was from one of those Twitter bot accounts, but I went back to this to remind everybody. This is from World of Real, Alan. ELIO's overhauled, rewrites, director swap, $300 million budget. The studio was hit hard by COVID with films like Soul, Luca, Turning Red, ... Okay, here's the thing. I believe, this is according to World of Real, I believe Disney is just happy to get this one off its back, as it has been a major crux for Pixar boss Pete Docter. It was originally slated to release in March of 24.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was moved, and then that's where they slotted Snow White. And then Snow White got kicked to March of 25. So it was a wreck. ELIO was initially directed by Adrian Molina, but in 24, he was replaced due to a, quote, scheduling conflict, which absolutely nobody believes. He still holds a co-directing credit. The film is being led by Domi Shi and Madeline Shaharafian from Turning Red, and the story centers on this set. And here's the thing. New directors, new writers, they added new characters. They reshot major portions of this. And the cinematography, Alan, it looks like part 2 of Wish, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is these are clearly Wish and Elio came from the same mind in terms of directing, in terms of the way it looks. Like we just spent we if you want to get really into the weeds, we talked about it on the Film Threat livecast, Hollywood on the Rocks,
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
an hour or so ago. This is on par with Wish. I mean, look at that image right there. First of all, Elio is in the dead center of the screen. All right, and if you understand the rule of thirds, if you saw the Fablemans, if you've ever taken a composition or art class, you understand the rule of thirds. If you were to take that image right there and look at what's on the third left and the third right, on the third right there's nothing, and on the third left there's that little creature there, which basically says if you were to ask John Ford, this image is boring, and this is the first thing I noticed when Elio started, was that everything, all the action is dead center in the screen. And so the reason why this is important, what people may not understand, is that for you to engage in art, your eye has to move around the image. If your image is in the center, your eye doesn't move. And so your eye doesn't want to go to the left, doesn't want to go to the right. And so what composition does is it forces your eye to move around the screen to look at things, and if anything, to keep you engaged. That's why you have the rule of thirds there. And when I'd say 80% of the movie is like this, where you are just dead set, your eyes focus on the center of the screen. It's like driving down a long highway late at night and you're trying to stay awake, and all you can do is focus down the center of the lane here. And I guarantee you're going to fall asleep and get into an accident.
I think the accident was releasing this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, they say here, behind the scenes, Elio has experienced major upheaval throughout its lengthy development to the point where the budget tipped toward the $300 million mark. Yeah. A significant portion of the creative team was replaced midway through production, which, if you've seen both the 23 and 2025 ELIO trailers, it explains the dramatic shift in tone and style. Most of the character designs have remained intact. The latest trailer, released last month, revealed some heroes and villains swapped roles entirely. So, I mean, you think about not only rewrites, but you're reanimating. You have to have all the voice actors come back and re-record a bunch of new stuff all over again. Yeah. They made this movie twice. So it's totally believable to me, because you've got, I think, Variety or somebody out there saying the production budget was $150 million. Well, that may have been when they greenlit it, but then they spent $150 million all over again because they did it twice.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is this is not new for Pixar. No. I think what's new is the fact that they spent the money they did to fix it. For example, I remember D23, they brought out the crew for Good Dinosaur. And it was Francis McDormand, it was Bill Hader, it was Neil Patrick Harris, Lucas Neff from one of the, I forgot the show. And then when the movie came out, entirely different cast and crew. And nothing like that. Bill Hader wasn't even in the movie. So, and look, famously, Aladdin with Robin Williams, very different story when it first started. There was Aladdin and his friends. There was a mom character. They had Alan Menken and Howard Ashman. You can go to the archives and listen to the songs they wrote for that movie. So it's not unheard of to change course at Disney. Emperor's New Groove is another great example of that.
I think you're right. It's not
that they're throwing money at it is the problem.
Well, the throwing money at it, but here's the thing: like especially with things like Aladdin back in the day in the '90s with Ashman and Menken. Those movies came out and they made a fortune. People loved them, and they made a ton of money for Disney for a long time. Yeah, and they still are. This one, however, and I don't know exactly when you made it in backstage, but in case you don't know, right now, 28 years later is going to smoke ELIO this weekend. Yeah, according to Deadline. So this is how bad it is. Yeah, so they're saying 30 million domestic for 28 years later, and 20 million domestic for ELIO. So it's going to be bad. And we had this chart up. And then if you want to talk about some of the specifics and the story in there related to your review that you did, this is the one that we had, movie comparison. I was showing people here, trying to figure out where we're going to land. If we're going to have a $50 million global opening for ELIO, this very well could wind up somewhere between Strange World and Lightyear, but closer to Strange World. I mean, that's bad. And Strange World didn't come out in the heat of summer. This thing came out
It's
Strange
Thanksgiving.
World, Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was a Thanksgiving release, which is a good holiday to release on for a family film. It's a great one. That's why Disney always does it. But this is coming out, dead center of summer, and it's going to get buried. I mean,
Yep.
absolutely buried. This thing might not even make it to 100 million, and if it does, it might not make it to 125. This is a train wreck.
It sounds like they're hoping they'll get an Elemental out of this. The problem with that is Elemental was a moderately good movie. This one is not.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you, because again, that's a great point. Look at Elemental's opening, 29 million. Look at Wish's opening, 19. They're projecting Wish right now in terms of an opening. Okay,
right. And deservedly so.
Right. So, okay, let's say that we get an Elemental thing where this thing starts out at 29, which is terrifying for a $200 to $300 million film.
Right.
I mean, you're losing money at that point. But it admirably, it manages to leg out to roughly a 5x domestically, which is unheard of for really any Disney film in the modern era that I can recall. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.